traveling for women is tough. Is being a black woman even more difficult to travel in some of these countries?
It's so interesting. You know what? Like, I've only ever been a black woman, so
Yeah,
it's
I've
very
never had that
difficult.
experience.
It's very difficult for me to compare. But like because even the women thing, I think we just like, why is it tough? You know, like bad things can happen to you anywhere. Like, as far as like sexual assault, most people are sexually assaulted by people they know. So in some way, maybe you're safer when you're away from home.
Could be.
You know. So for me, the biggest issues I have, I would say specifically, it's less about being a black woman and more about being visibly African. Because
Explain that.
So to that end, a lot of people, the United States Border Patrol in particular, think that my American passport is fake.
Really?
Yes.
And they say that to you?
Oh my God. I've had so many issues with U.S. immigration. You can't even, some of them are in the book. I've had so many issues with U.S. immigration.
Where they try and stop you and say,
Not try to stop
they
me.
stop
I'm
you.
talking about secondary. I'm talking about all types of searches. It's happened
Oh, my.
multiple times.
Really?
Multiple times. Asking me for other forms of ID besides my passport to enter my home country. Yeah.
Do you have the whole global entry thing as well?
Now I have global entry. Yeah.
Wow. See, I had a hard time getting global entry because I had shot a show in Cuba and they said, you can't go to Cuba. And I said, yeah, you can. And they turned me down initially. And I wrote a letter to somebody and ended up getting it. But they're nuts at those places.
You know what's so crazy? That happened to a friend of mine. And
Really?
She texted me and she said, do you have global entry? I said, yeah. She said, how did you get it? I don't know. I filled out the thing. I think because mine had like 100, almost 200 countries.
But you have to do an interview. Didn't you have to do a face-to-face?
I did do an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the list is so long, they weren't like thumbing through it because it's literally a list of like 195 countries.
Yeah.
So they were more fascinated by that, and that
Good.
probably distracted them from actually
Wow, I can't
asking
believe that,
any
though.
real questions.
Can't get into your own country. So tell me about North Korea.
So North Korea. So I also have a Ugandan passport. And so, because the U.S. government forbids Americans from going to North Korea.
Right.
North Korea doesn't care.
They don't?
No, they do not care. Because they knew I was American. My Ugandan passport says I was born in the U.S. And when I was going back to Beijing, I had to present my U.S. passport because that's how I was getting into China. So North Korea literally doesn't care. So I spent 6 days there. I worked with a company who like organizes all of it. So you just send them your information, you pay the money, and like they organize it. And so it's definitely like a North Korean government tour. So it's very prescriptive, but also we got to do other things. You're always with a North Korean.
I bet.
Yeah,
Did
for
you
sure.
feel they were looking at your emails and stuff
No.
like that? No.
Never. No. I didn't at all.
Are the people nice?
People were super nice. I mean, obviously they're a bit guarded.
Oh, yeah.
But there was one point during the tour where I decided not to go to a thing, and so somebody stayed back with me because there were 3 guides with our group. So a woman stayed back with me. She had like lived in Angola and lived a couple different places. So it was nice to connect with her. And, I wouldn't share the contents of our conversation because I think it's important to like protect people's privacy.
Sure.
But we had an open conversation, and
Did she have thoughts about Americans and
no, they don't really care.
They
I think that there's a huge misconception. Like they're not obsessed or like super hateful towards Americans. They
See, this is what I love to hear. These are the stories.